They have the State of the Puget Sound report that comes out, I think, every 10 years. And it's done so well. It's just like this pamphlet that's 50 pages long. And you look at all the critical issues. You know, this region is absolutely spectacular, but the issues are monumentally huge. The salmon that have been coming here for millions of years are disappearing. The southern resident killer whales are starving to death. If that's not a story right there, I don't know what is. And we had a little film festival earlier this year about, trying to get the salmon to return. There's a movie called Damnation, talking about taking dams down on the Klamath River, which is going to probably help the southern resident killer whales as well. But there's point source pollution. There's how about the osteoporosis of the sea, ocean acidification. The ocean absorbs 30% of the atmospheric carbon dioxide, and we're seeing oysters that they can't even raise oysters hardly. Their shells are dissolving. It's like you putting vinegar on chalk and you watch the chalk dissolve. And that's kind of crazy to think that we have this, we think fertile fjords and pristine seas, but we can't deny that we're pumping a lot of carbon dioxide out there, but it's changing the chemistry of the oceans and it's affecting the base of the food chain. These creatures give us 50% of the oxygen that we breathe, the one that have glass skeletons and some calcium carbonate skeletons. That's a big issue right there. And how do you, maybe interview a scientist, but how do you make it publicly known in language that's not too, unwieldy? I'd like to call it osteoporosis of the sea, but there's many other things, this interconnectedness. I feel like we're part of the Pacific Rim nations, that we all share salmon from, Seoul, South Korea, which is 37 degrees north latitude, is the same latitude as San Francisco. So every river from northern Baja up to Alaska down to Seoul used to have salmon. And even in the 90s, the fishery biologists were saying 90% of the salmon are gone, and the salmon are going the way of the passenger pigeon. Salmon are what is the lifeblood of the peoples here, as is the western red cedar. They called it mother because it provided so much for them, but the salmon was the sustenance. And they have these beautiful ceremonies. Go up to Nanaimo, go up Vancouver Island, just look at the First Nations of Canada and look how much reverence there is for the salmon. They just had the Muckleshoot tribe at Alki Beach with the tribal journeys. That's another amazing story because they lived here for thousands of years and we're the newcomers. Interview them about the environment. To me, it's mind-blowing that they have these tribal journeys and the kids are, exchanging Snapchats and, emails or Facebooks, and they're singing the songs of their ancestors. They're learning the language again, because each year they just row these canoes and they're on a mission to kind of connect and rediscover their heritage. And they still have vibrant cultures. It's not all about casinos and they take 50% of the salmon here with the Bork decision. That's ridiculous, There's some animosity towards natives, Like other reservations are trash around there, but we have these, some people have negative opinions about the natives, so that's just a whole nother thing. The natives, how about the volcanoes? I mean, we're looking at a glaciated volcano over there, and that whole story about being on the Pacific Ring of Fire is fascinating. So yeah, rivers, salmon, the osteoporosis of the sea. How about the PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls? But that's in the killer whale's flesh, and the firstborn typically dies. It's got too many toxins in it. And human milk. I mean, human mothers shouldn't eat certain fish because there's mercury, right? So there's a whole nother issue. It's like, wow. It's humans too that are affected by the chemistry, these heavy metals that are in the killer whales and affecting their navigational abilities and their hormonal development. So, but yeah, I can give you more ideas. I can give you my phone number and we kind of just chat about things and whatever you're kind of leaning towards doing something underwater program. There's some great science people that could bend your ear and tell you all sorts at the Seattle Aquarium. Great educators there. The Olympic Coast Sanctuary, you can just call them up or just see what the key issues. I like to ask managers and park rangers, what's the key resource management issue in Mount Rainier? And they might tell you, it's, say, trampling the meadows, or maybe it's the trees are dying. Why are they dying? You know, is it the air pollution or what? So I always try to ask, what are the key issues that you're battling in Olympic National Park? It might be invasive species like, what is that little berry, the holly berry, and the Scotch broom, and, you know, they crowd out native plants. But yeah, just ask people questions about what they think are the biggest concerns in the Puget Sound, and they'll tell you. And then whatever rings to your heart, I would just kind of follow that.